Hello and welcome to Sleepy Facts for Dreamers, a place where the noise of the day gently melts away, where we slow down, breathe deeper, and drift into calm. Whether you're here to rest, relax, or escape into peaceful stories, let the quiet guide you. Lay back, get cozy, and unwind. Your journey to dreamland begins now. Today, we're entering into the world of cartography, the gentle, intricate craft of mapmaking. We'll drift through history, tracing how people have sketched their dreams, journeys, and discoveries onto paper, turning the vast unknown into something we can hold in our hands. We'll uncover how early civilizations mapped the stars and seas, how explorers charted new lands, and how mapmaking has evolved into the sophisticated science we know today. From ancient explorers drawing coastlines by starlight to the precise satellite imagery of the modern age, we'll discover how maps have shaped the way we understand our world and beyond. In the stillness of night, when the world grows quiet and distant thoughts drift like slow-moving clouds, there is a certain comfort in imagining the lines that shape our sense of place. For as long as people have traveled, wondered, and looked toward the horizon, they have sought a way to understand the vastness around them. And so, across centuries and continents, a quiet craft emerged, the craft of mapping the world. This is a story of those maps and of the people who created them. It is a story not of hurried exploration or grand adventure, but of patient observation, of hands moving gently across parchment, of minds attuned to the subtleties of coastlines, rivers, and hills. It is a story of lines drawn with care, transforming wide and unruly landscapes into something peaceful, knowable, and calm. As you settle in, allow these reflections to unfold slowly. There is no need to focus sharply or follow every detail. Let the images emerge like faint ink appearing on a page, soft and gradual. Let your breathing ease and your thoughts loosen as we journey into a world shaped by curiosity, by stillness, and by the quiet art of cartographers. Those who trace the earth not only with precision, but with a sense of wonder gentle enough to lull the mind. And so, with unhurried steps, we begin. Long before the world took the shape we know today, humans began to wonder what lay beyond the rivers, the hills, and the distant reaches of their own familiar paths. In ancient Mesopotamia, in the warm light of clay oil lamps, early mapmakers pressed lines and symbols into cool tablets of clay. These were some of the oldest maps ever created, dating back to the late 3rd millennium BCE. They were simple, modest records, yet profoundly important. They showed nearby rivers, small towns, property boundaries, places a traveler might reach in a single day's walk. Quiet attempts to understand the world, one field and one canal at a time. Over time, the Babylonians shaped these tablets into something more symbolic. One of their most remarkable creations showed a circular world encircled by a great salty sea, the Bitter River. Babylon was placed near the center, with the Euphrates running like a lifeline through its heart. The lands beyond were imagined as distant triangles, part geography and part myth. These early maps were not made to scale, yet they preserved recognizable shapes of Mesopotamia, carrying pieces of truth within their symbolic design. A gentle reminder that mapmaking began not with precision, but with curiosity. As centuries passed, other cultures began drawing their own visions of the world. The ancient Greeks traced coastlines and seas, shaping their ideas of land and water. Anaximander, a philosopher of the 6th century BCE, sketched one of the earliest known world maps. In his view, the known lands formed a great circle, surrounded completely by ocean. It was a quiet attempt to capture something immense with only ink, imagination, and the simple tools of the time. By the 2nd century, the scholar Ptolemy looked at the earth in a new way, one shaped by mathematics. He described lines of latitude and longitude, and offered methods to place a round world onto the flat page. His work rippled outward through time, influencing mapmakers for nearly 2,000 years. A calm revolution carried on parchment. Far to the east, Chinese mapmakers were also shaping their understanding of the land. As early as the Sui and Tang dynasties, they created detailed administrative maps, carefully organizing territory with grid systems that could pinpoint places with surprising clarity. These maps were tools of governance, of order, and of understanding how people lived across vast landscapes. Mountains were sometimes drawn from a side view, rivers from above, a style blending perspectives to express the character of the land rather than its exact geometry. And while these Chinese maps were often rich with text and detail, filled with history and descriptions of culture, European maps began to lean more toward geometric clarity and symbolic decoration. Each region found its own gentle path in mapmaking, shaped by its needs, its philosophies, and its sense of place. As centuries moved quietly forward, the world became more connected. Travelers from Arabic and Mediterranean lands collected stories and pathfinding knowledge, which the cartographer Al-Idrisi gathered into a great map in 1154. He called Earth a sphere, and he illustrated it with more accuracy than many of his European contemporaries. His work blended knowledge across cultures, stitching together a global view from many journeys. Later, during the medieval centuries, Islamic scholars created atlases that were equal parts geography, culture, and story, maps that spoke of landscapes but also of the people who moved within them. These were maps not only of space, but of meaning. As navigation at sea became more daring, a new kind of map emerged. The portolan charts of the Mediterranean, covered with fine, straight lines radiating from compass roses, they allowed sailors to trace steady courses across open water. Practical, precise, and beautiful, these charts helped guide ships long before the age of modern instruments. Eventually, Europe entered a period of wide exploration. From the 15th to the 17th century, voyages across the oceans reshaped the outlines of world maps. Coastlines lengthened, continents widened, and the edges of the known world unfurled like slowly opening scrolls. The work of cartographers expanded in pace with these journeys, and knowledge flowed from ship logs to studios and workshops where careful hands inked new shapes onto vellum. One mapmaker, Gerardus Mercator, proposed a new way of drawing the world in 1569. His projection preserved angles, making ocean navigation easier, though it stretched the lands near the poles. For sailors, this distortion was a small price for a map that made long voyages more predictable. Slowly, continents drifted into their familiar forms on the page. Even after these centuries, the world of mapmaking continued to evolve. New inspirations, new tools, new ways of imagining the Earth, all of them slowly weaving into the long, quiet story of cartography. Here is the next gentle continuation, keeping the calm, steady documentary-style narration soft, soothing, and designed to guide listeners toward rest. As time moved forward, the quiet art of mapping continued to deepen, shaped by the slow advancement of tools and the careful observations of travelers. During the 17th and 18th centuries, mapmaking became a profession defined not only by exploration, but by measurement. Surveyors walked the land with simple instruments, using chains, compasses, and sighting tools to record distances and angles. Their work was patient and meticulous, a calm ritual of stepping, marking, and returning home with notes that would later become lines on a page. These measurements brought a new accuracy to maps. Instead of relying on stories alone, cartographers could now test the shape of a coastline or trace the path of a river with greater precision. Gentle improvements, accumulating over generations, gave people a clearer sense of the land beneath their feet. Across Europe, large national surveys began to take shape. In France, early efforts at triangulation created networks of invisible lines stretching from hilltops to church towers. Each point linked to the next, forming a quiet geometry across the landscape. These triangles allowed cartographers to find distances without traveling every road themselves. From high vantage points, surveyors recorded angles, patiently watching the land in the steady light of morning or late afternoon. Their work often took years, but the results were maps of remarkable clarity. In Britain, similar efforts unfolded. The Ordnance Survey, one of the most extensive mapping projects in the world, began with the simple purpose of measuring and understanding the land. Over time, it grew into a detailed tapestry of information. Rivers, valleys, footpaths, and the smallest bends in the countryside traced with delicate precision. Each line, each contour, spoke of countless hours of human effort, undertaken with patience and humility. Elsewhere in the world, different traditions grew. In Japan, mapmakers sketched their islands with elegant brushwork, merging precision with artistry. In Africa and the Pacific, knowledge of terrain was passed through oral tradition and navigational memory. Stars, swells, and wind patterns forming maps held not on paper, but in the mind. Polynesian navigators crafted reference charts from sticks and shells, graceful frameworks that captured the rhythms of waves and the relationships between islands. These were maps not of lines, but of movement. As centuries turned, the world continued to gain more form. Coastlines became clearer. Mountain ranges found their places. Rivers settled into shapes that modern viewers would recognize. And yet, for all this accuracy, cartography remained an expression of human perspective. Every mapmaker chose what to include, what to emphasize, and how to translate the vastness of the earth into something small enough to hold. With the arrival of the 19th century, maps became tools for science, transportation, and growing cities. Railways stretched across continents, and maps guided their paths. Explorers traveled to remote regions, documenting landscapes unknown to Europeans. Their sketches, journals, and measurements slowly filled blank spaces that once appeared as wide, empty plains or mysterious decorative illustrations. But even then, the work remained slow, steady, almost meditative. Whether tracing the shape of a coastline from the deck of a ship, or climbing a ridge to take a bearing on a distant peak, each new discovery came gently, one observation at a time. Cartographers carried with them a quiet dedication, a desire to understand the world, not hurriedly but deeply. As knowledge expanded, so did the sense of global connection. Maps showed continents drawing closer in understanding, even as they remained vast in distance. They revealed the patterns of human settlement, the spread of languages, and the pathways of trade. and they reminded people everywhere that the Earth, though immense, could be known piece by piece, moment by moment. And as these stories unfold, you may feel yourself drifting with them, following the slow evolution of maps the way one might follow a river's gentle path. The rise and fall of centuries becomes soft and distant. The world grows quiet, steady, peaceful, inviting you to rest more deeply with each passing moment. As the 19th century continued, new instruments began to shape the quiet art of mapping. Tools such as the theodolite allowed surveyors to measure angles with greater precision. These devices, made of brass and glass, required a steady hand and a patient eye. Surveyors would stand upon hilltops or carefully chosen marks, waiting for the air to settle, for the horizon to steady, and then gently note the angle between distant landmarks. Each measurement, though small, contributed to a vast network of knowledge. These triangulation networks spread slowly across continents. From mountaintops, from coastal cliffs, from open plains, lines were drawn between points that could sometimes be hundreds of kilometers apart. The world was becoming measurable through calm, methodical effort. Mile by mile, the Earth revealed its shape. In North America, surveyors traveled through forests, prairies, and mountains, placing markers that still stand today. The work was demanding, yet deeply rhythmic. Long days of quiet observation, evenings filled with the soft sounds of writing, sketching, and calculating by lantern light. The early maps created from these journeys showed a land of immense variety, from winding river valleys to broad plains that stretched farther than the eye could see. Meanwhile, in South America, explorers and cartographers ventured into the Amazon basin, tracing rivers whose lengths had long been the subject of guesswork. Their maps brought form to regions where the dense canopy hid the sky, and where waterways offered the clearest paths. The Amazon River, the largest on Earth, gradually found its accurate shape upon the page, its tributaries etched like branching veins. In the polar regions, mapping was a quiet struggle against cold, wind, and vast white landscapes. Explorers moved slowly across ice sheets, their senses guided by subtle changes in terrain and the position of the sun, low on the horizon. Their maps were sketches first, then careful measurements later. They revealed coastlines hidden beneath snow, islands covered in ice, and the dramatic shapes of glacial mountains. The polar maps of this era were not only scientific achievements, but also stories of resilience carried out in near silence. As the world entered the early 20th century, mapping was transformed again, this time by the ability to rise into the air. Balloons and later airplanes lifted cameras above the land, capturing images that allowed cartographers to trace precise outlines of rivers, forests, and coastlines. For the first time, the Earth could be observed from above, not only by imagination or careful climbing, but by gentle flight. These aerial photographs revealed shapes that had never been fully understood before. The curves of deserts, the patterns of farmlands, the hidden paths of waterways, all became clearer, as though the planet itself had opened a quiet window into its form. Cartographers studied these images slowly, aligning them with ground measurements, turning photographs into detailed maps. The work was careful and deliberate, blending old methods with new perspectives. Even with these advances, the process of map-making remained deeply human. It required patience, attention, and the willingness to see both the large shapes of continents and the delicate details of small features. Mapmakers learned to sense the character of landscapes, the way mountains cast shadows across valleys, the way coastal lines softened where rivers met the sea, the way plains stretched wide, their features subtle but meaningful. In many countries, topographic maps became a standard, showing the height of the land through contour lines. These lines, gentle and repeating, flowed across the page like the ripples of a quiet lake. Each curve represented elevation, revealing hills, ridges, and basins through soft, continuous shapes. For many, these maps offered a kind of calm. The earth became understandable through lines that rose and fell in gentle rhythms. As these maps spread, so too did the sense that the world, though vast, could be known through steady observation. The landscapes that once seemed endless became familiar. The coastlines that were once broken or guessed at grew crisp and clear. Bit by bit, the planet took on a form that people everywhere could recognize. And as you listen to this slow unfolding, you may feel a quiet sense of connection to these early mapmakers, to their patience, their curiosity, and their gentle dedication to understanding the world. The story of cartography becomes a soft backdrop, allowing your mind to drift, your breath to deepen, and your body to relax more fully with each moment. As the 20th century moved forward, the sky became an even more trusted companion to the mapmaker. Airplanes grew steadier, cameras clearer, and the view from above became a dependable source of truth. Cartographers now worked with wide, overlapping photographs that showed the land in subtle, repeating shifts of perspective. By placing two nearly identical images side by side and viewing them through a stereoscope, they saw the Earth rise softly into 3 dimensions. Hills appeared to lift, valleys sank into gentle shadows, and mountain ridges revealed their full, quiet shape. In small, sunlit rooms, mapmakers leaned over these images with careful concentration. They traced the contours of ridgelines, outlined the edges of lakes, and placed roads where they traced narrow, pale paths on the ground below. With every detail added, the maps became more familiar, more accurate, and more quietly reassuring. The Earth was no longer distant or mysterious. It could be read like a calm, steady sentence. During this time, mapping also expanded beneath the surface of the oceans. New instruments sent sound downward, listening for the returning echo. These soundings revealed the hidden architecture of the seafloor. Vast plains, deep trenches, and mountain ranges that slept beneath the waves. Slowly, the shape of the underwater world emerged. The Pacific seafloor unfolded like a great basin. The Atlantic showed its long central ridge, and the Arctic revealed icy shelves stretching far beyond what had once been imagined. These discoveries did not come with sudden noise or spectacle. They arrived gradually, through gentle pulses of sound and steady interpretation. Even the deepest trenches, places untouched by light, became lines and forms on growing maps of the oceans. The Earth's surface, above and below, was becoming complete. Then came the quiet revolution of satellites. High above the atmosphere, orbiting in silent arcs, these distant instruments watched the Earth with calm consistency. They measured the subtle curve of the planet, the drift of continents, the way the surface rose and fell by inches or by mountains. Some satellites looked downward with cameras, others sensed heat or reflected light, and still others measured gravity itself. What they produced was a portrait of the Earth, that was both vast and intimate. Forests could be seen breathing with the seasons. Lakes expanded and contracted. Coastlines shifted slightly year by year. The polar ice caps whispered their slow changes. All of this appeared in soft gradients of color and light, layered into maps more detailed than anything that had existed before. On the ground, cartographers now worked with screens instead of parchment, with pixels instead of pigments. Geographic information systems allowed them to stack layers of meaning: roads, rivers, soil types, vegetation, temperature. Each one a quiet page in a growing book. The map became more than an image. It became a living system, responding to information from every corner of the world. And yet, despite all of this technology, the spirit of mapping remained much the same. It was still about noticing, measuring, understanding. Whether drawn in clay 5,000 years ago or generated from satellites in orbit, every map was an attempt to say, gently and clearly, this is the shape of the world, and this is where we are upon it. As you rest with this thought, you might imagine the planet turning beneath those silent satellites, its oceans shifting in soft blues, its deserts glowing faintly gold, its forests breathing in slow, dark greens. You might imagine all the lines, all the contours, all the careful marks made by generations of hands. Together, they form a calm, continuous story that spans centuries. And as that story stretches beneath you, you can let yourself drift a little deeper into ease, carried by the same quiet persistence that has guided mapmakers across ages. Through this long, gentle evolution, the map has become something quietly personal. In earlier centuries, it belonged to kings, explorers, and scholars, people who traveled far or governed wide lands. But today, in the soft glow of a small screen, the map has become something each person carries privately, almost effortlessly. It is no longer a distant object on a wall or a folded sheet tucked into a traveler's bag. It rests quietly in a pocket, waiting to answer a simple question. Where am I now? That blue dot, simple, steady, and calm, sits at the center of the modern map. It does not rush. It does not demand attention. It simply exists, a tiny marker that senses your place in the world through gentle signals sent from far above. These signals travel through the silent darkness of space, touch the device in your hand, and allow the map to settle, showing you the streets, paths, and contours around you. It's a quiet reminder that no matter where you stand, you are connected to a larger whole. And behind that blue dot is a network of shared knowledge. Millions of small updates made by people in every corner of the world. A new path added by someone walking with a phone in their hand. A corrected curve in a road, or a tiny shop appearing where none existed before. A forest trail, a footbridge, a shift in a riverbank after a storm. Every change adds to the collective map, gently adjusting its shape day by day. In this way, modern maps have become something like a living conversation, spoken softly between satellites, devices, and countless observers on the ground. Each voice, each small piece of information, joins a vast and quiet chorus. Together, they describe the world as it is in this moment, not as a single person once imagined it. Yet even with all this precision and immediacy, maps still hold a familiar, soothing quality. They offer order. They offer shape. They reduce the enormous complexity of the Earth into something calm enough for the human mind to hold. A coastline becomes a smooth line. A mountain becomes a soft, shaded form. A city becomes a gentle grid of streets. It is a simplification, yes, but a comforting one. A way of bringing the vastness of the world into a space that feels manageable and safe. And so, the journey of the map, stretching from ancient clay to glowing pixels, remains a quietly human story. A story of people noticing the land, the stars, the rivers, and the sea, and seeking patiently to understand them. A story of careful observation and steady hands. A story woven from curiosity, persistence, and the simple desire to know one's place in the world. As you rest with this thought, you may feel the gentle continuity of it, the way each generation, with its own tools and challenges, added its lines to the greater whole. No single map was ever final. Each one was a step, a moment of understanding, a calm mark on a long timeline. And now, as that timeline reaches the present, it does so quietly, like a soft line extending across a page. You can imagine following that line as it moves through centuries, drifting forward, easing into stillness. You may feel yourself drifting with it, gently, as the world around you becomes softer, quieter, more distant. And now, as the long story of cartography reaches into the present moment, it becomes clear that the map is no longer merely a tool. It is a companion. It sits quietly beside daily life, ready whenever it is needed, yet never demanding attention. It offers direction without urgency, information without pressure. It becomes a gentle presence, like a lantern softly glowing in a familiar room. Today's maps can show roads, forests, and coastlines with near-perfect accuracy. They can reveal patterns in weather, shifts in terrain, and the delicate outlines of faraway places. And yet, for all their complexity, they remain deeply comforting. They remind us that even in a world of constant motion, there is structure, there is pattern, there is a way to understand where we are. You might imagine looking down on the Earth from far above, as the satellites do. Seen from that quiet height, the world appears peaceful. Clouds drift, oceans shimmer, mountain ranges stretch like calm waves of stone across entire continents. The lights of cities glow softly at night, forming constellations of their own. Everything moves, but nothing rushes. Everything changes, but only at its natural pace. From this vantage, the work of the mapmaker, spanning thousands of years, feels like a single long exhale. Human beings, generation after generation, have traced the contours of this planet with patience and care. They have walked its coastlines, sailed its seas, climbed its mountains, and watched its skies. They have measured, drawn, corrected, and refined. And through this slow, steady effort, they have given the world a shape the mind can hold. In time, even the smallest details found their place. The curve of a peninsula, the bend in a river, the rise of a solitary hill. Each detail captured not in haste, but in observation. Each detail added to the gentle, ever-growing portrait of Earth. And now, that portrait rests in your hands whenever you choose to look. It can guide you through winding streets or quiet paths. It can show the boundary of a forest, the outline of a lake, or the gentle sweep of a valley. It can help you find your way home, or simply offer a quiet moment of understanding. In this way, the map is both ancient and modern, both distant and familiar. It connects the clay tablets of long ago with the satellites drifting silently through space. It reflects the accumulated patience of countless people, scribes, navigators, scholars, surveyors, all working, knowingly or not, toward the same gentle goal: to understand the world well enough to live peacefully within it. And as you settle into this thought, you may notice a calmness settling with it. A sense that the world, for all its complexity, contains patterns that can be known. That the land beneath you, the sky above you, and the paths around you have all been woven into one long, continuous story of guidance. You are part of that story too. Simply by resting here, by listening, by imagining, you join that quiet lineage of people who look at the world with curiosity and care. Let that thought drift softly through your mind. As the years passed, cartographers refined not only their tools but also their intuition. They learned to read the language of the land the way others might read weathered books or ancient scripts. The bend of a river revealed how the earth had shifted over centuries. The arc of a mountain ridge whispered of forgotten volcanic fire. The shape of a coastline hinted at storms long past, and at the quiet persistence of waves smoothing rock into sand. Their work became a kind of quiet companionship with time itself. Many of these early map makers understood that no map was ever truly finished. Rivers wandered, forests retreated and grew again. Cities spread outward, their roads branching like nervous systems across the ground. To draw a map was to press pause on a world that never stopped moving, capturing only a single breath of an ever-shifting landscape. And though they documented what they saw, cartographers were always aware of the unseen. The hidden valleys no traveler had reached, the caves untouched by sunlight, the distant lands spoken of only in rumor. These blank spaces became part of the allure of maps, gentle reminders that mystery still existed, waiting patiently beyond the edges. Those who studied maps often found themselves dreaming of these uncharted places, letting their minds drift into the soft unknown. And in this way, cartography became more than a practical craft. It evolved into a quiet invitation to imagine, to wonder, to drift. Some maps were meticulously accurate, while others blended truth with interpretation, shaped by the limits of knowledge or the hopeful guesses of the mapmaker. Seas were shaded deeper where sailors claimed the water ran cold. Mountains were drawn higher when travelers spoke of thin air and long, struggling climbs. Forests expanded at the edges of the page where stories described endless trees. But even these uncertain details carried a kind of honesty, an acknowledgement that the map was not just about where the world was, but where people believed it could be. And over time, the map makers themselves became part of the story. Their handwriting, their choices, their careful lines, all became gentle marks of their existence, preserved quietly on paper. Though many of their names have been lost, their work endures, steady and patient, like the soft ticking of an old clock in another room. As you rest now, you can imagine these early cartographers working by lamplight, the glow flickering across parchment. The air is cool. The pages rustle softly. Outside, the night is calm. The world waits, unhurried, as another line is drawn, and with each slow stroke of ink, the map becomes clearer, and your eyelids a little heavier. In time, the craft of mapmaking grew more collaborative. Travelers, sailors, merchants, and explorers began sharing their notes with the cartographers who waited patiently back home. They returned with journals weathered by wind and salt, sketches smudged by rain, stories collected from distant shores. Every mark and memory became another thread woven into the growing tapestry of the known world. Cartographers listened closely, sifting through details the way one might sift sand through open fingers. They compared accounts, tracing common paths, noticing where stories aligned and where they wandered. In this quiet process, the world began to take shape not only as it appeared, but as countless eyes had seen it. Even so, much remained uncertain. A coastline might shift dramatically between two separate accounts. A mountain range might be drawn too narrow, then too wide. Some islands appeared confidently on maps for years, only to vanish later when sailors could not find them again. Yet these imperfections did not disturb the rhythm of the work. They were gentle reminders that discovery was a slow, patient unfolding. As the knowledge grew, so did the beauty of the maps themselves. Some cartographers became artists in their own right, adding delicate illustrations in the blank spaces. Curling waves in the open sea, tiny ships drifting through imagined waters, creatures inspired by travelers' tales. Though many of these embellishments were fanciful, they softened the map's edges and invited the viewer into a dreamlike state, somewhere between truth and wonder. People would study these old maps and feel themselves drifting into thought, journeying across distance without taking a single step. For sleepers, they offered something even more soothing, a quiet reminder that the world is vast, but gently connected, stitched together by rivers, roads, and the memory of those who walked before. And as the craft advanced, so did the tools. Sextants replaced simple sight lines. Compasses grew more precise. Paper became stronger, able to endure the turning of many hands. With each improvement, maps became not just guides, but keepsakes, calm companions for travelers and comforting windows for those who stayed behind. In the stillness of night, you can imagine a cartographer spreading out a fresh sheet of parchment, smoothing it gently with both hands, taking a breath before beginning the careful work of capturing a world in motion. The scratch of the pen is soft, steady, almost rhythmic. Nothing rushed, nothing forced, just presence, just patience. And just like that cartographer, you too can feel the world settling around you, the details fading into softer shapes, everything becoming simpler, quieter, easier to drift with. As centuries unfolded, mapmaking continued its quiet evolution. New lands were charted, oceans crossed, and horizons widened, yet the heart of the craft remained unchanged. A gentle effort to understand the world with care and curiosity. Even as techniques advanced, the work still relied on the same sense of patient observation that guided the earliest mapmakers. In quiet workshops and study rooms, cartographers leaned over their desks, lantern light warming the edges of their work. They traced coastlines based on careful measurements, but they also trusted their instincts, smoothing jagged uncertainties into gentle curves. Their maps became a blend of precision and calm interpretation, a reminder that the world could be both measured and imagined. Some focused on the far edges of continents, mapping rugged lands shaped by glaciers and winds. Others charted winding rivers that threaded through fertile plains. A few dedicated themselves to the delicate task of mapping the night sky, recording constellations with the same steady patience as those who mapped the ground. Though their subjects differed, their intentions aligned: to guide, to clarify, and to share a sense of quiet orientation with anyone who might look upon their work. Travelers carried these maps with them, folding and unfolding them at campsites, on ship decks, or beside gently crackling fires. They traced their intended paths by the glow of embers or moonlight, letting the lines reassure them that they were not lost, that someone somewhere had walked this mental path before. In the soft hush of night, these maps became companions, calming the minds of those who sought rest beneath unfamiliar skies. Over time, entire communities came to depend on maps not only for navigation, but for understanding their place in the world. Villages, towns, and cities found themselves woven into the cartographer's work, their streets drawn with quiet attention. A map could show a person where they lived, but it also showed them how their home connected to everything beyond. Mountains they might never climb, seas they might never cross, yet could still imagine with gentle clarity. In this way, a map was both anchor and invitation. And as you rest now, you might imagine yourself gazing at one of these old maps, its edges softened by hands long gone. The faint scent of aged paper lingers in the air. The lines are slightly faded, but still delicate and sure. Every curve and contour invites your mind to wander, slowly, peacefully, across the gentle rise and fall of the world. Your thoughts drift like a traveler tracing a route, unhurried, unburdened, drifting softly from one place to another. There is no destination to reach, only the simple comfort of the journey. The map becomes a landscape of calm, a quiet guide for the imagination, and a gentle reminder that even the vastness of the world can feel soothing when sketched with a steady hand. As time moved forward, cartographers began to collaborate across great distances, sharing knowledge through letters, sketches, and carefully packed bundles of parchment. Ships carried these packets across oceans, where they were received with quiet reverence by fellow mapmakers eager to learn what new truths and mysteries had been discovered. Each exchange expanded the collective understanding of the world, like soft ripples moving outward across still water. In peaceful rooms tucked away from the bustle of daily life, mapmakers reviewed this new information with gentle precision. They traced their fingers along coastlines, comparing one rendering to another, noticing small differences, a curve here, a narrowing there. There was something soothing about this slow and thoughtful process, as though they were listening to the world speak in subtle tones, revealing itself one detail at a time. Some cartographers specialized in regions they had never seen in person, relying entirely on the accounts of others. Yet, in their devotion, they grew deeply familiar with these distant places. They knew the direction of the wind along certain shores. They knew where rivers ran shallow. They knew which mountains cast long shadows at dusk, and where forests grew thick and fragrant. And though they might never stand in those landscapes, they felt connected to them through the steady rhythm of their work. Even the inaccuracies carried their own quiet charm. A misplaced island or an exaggerated mountain range left behind a trace of human curiosity. A small reminder that knowledge was always evolving, shaped by the perspectives of those who sought it. These imperfections softened the maps, making them feel more alive, more reflective of the people who created them. As maps became more accurate, their purpose expanded. Scholars studied them to understand history. Traders used them to anticipate weather and distance. Families traced ancestral paths across continents. Children gazed at them with wide-eyed wonder, imagining adventures that stretched beyond the edge of the familiar. And in late evenings, when the lamps burned low and the world grew hushed, a map could bring quiet comfort. Someone might unfold one across a table, smoothing its creases with patient hands. The symbols, the lines, the faint scent of parchment, all of it invited the mind to slow down, to breathe, to drift gently over the contours of the world. You might picture such a scene now, a soft pool of golden lamplight, the delicate whisper of paper, the steady presence of a map stretching out before you. Your thoughts glide along rivers, float over mountains, wander across plains. There is no need to hurry. The world on the page moves at a soothing pace, inviting you into its calm embrace. As you follow these quiet paths, you may find your breathing becoming slower, your mind softer, your body lighter. The map, with all its care and detail, becomes a gentle companion, guiding you deeper into rest. And somewhere in the long history of map-making, a cartographer once leaned over this very place on the page, drawing a line with steady hands, unaware of how peacefully their work would echo into nights like this one. Through the years, as exploration grew more ambitious, cartographers became quiet custodians of the world's memory. They preserved not just geography, but the stories carried home by those who wandered far from familiar ground. Every map recorded more than terrain. It held echoes of footsteps, the hush of ocean winds, and the quiet determination of those who journeyed into the unknown. Explorers often returned with journals filled with hurried notes, lines scribbled during long nights at sea, sketches made while camped beneath strange constellations. These journals were usually worn, their pages smudged by rain or stained with earth, yet cartographers received them with patient care. They studied each mark closely, translating field observations into elegant lines that captured the essence of the landscapes described. In this gentle way, the experiences of many became a single, unified vision of the world. Cartographers began to notice patterns too, how mountain ranges aligned across continents, how river systems branched like delicate veins, how coastlines echoed one another's shapes. They approached the world like a puzzle slowly assembling itself, and with every piece that fit neatly into place, the world grew clearer, calmer, more connected. And as maps improved, they also became more intimate. Town maps showed the placement of wells and bridges, orchards and mills. Rural maps traced the curves of meadows and the paths of shepherd trails. Even the quiet corners of forests found their way onto paper, each tree symbol thoughtfully placed. For many who lived in these regions, seeing their home captured with such attentive detail brought a comforting sense of belonging. As night settled over villages and the air cooled, some people kept their maps hanging on walls or rolled beside their bedside tables. They liked knowing that at any moment, even in the dark, the shape of their world was there, calm and steady. The idea that everything could be seen at once, from rivers to rooftops, offered a kind of peace. It reminded them that even if life felt uncertain or busy, the land beneath them remained dependable and familiar. Over time, maps also became cherished keepsakes. Families passed them down through generations, gently wrapped to protect their delicate edges. Each crease and faded line carried the history of hands that had unfolded them, perhaps during journeys or quiet evenings. The maps held memories of questions asked, of places dreamed about, of paths chosen long ago. In the soft glow of lantern light, a cartographer might have imagined all of this. The people who would one day hold their work, the comfort it would bring, the way it might guide someone's thoughts into peaceful wandering. And though they worked carefully, they did not rush. Their minds remained steady and unhurried, mirroring the slow pace of the landscapes they drew. You can imagine that feeling now, the gentle stillness of a room at night, the weight of a map resting lightly in your hands, the faint texture of the paper beneath your fingertips. The world on the page stretches out softly, every curve and contour inviting your thoughts to drift farther, to loosen, to float. And as you trace the lines, perhaps without even meaning to, your breathing grows slower, your eyelids heavier, until the map becomes less a guide through the world and more a quiet pathway into rest. As the art of mapmaking matured, cartographers developed new ways to capture the subtleties of the land. They learned to show elevation through soft shading, creating gentle gradients that hinted at the rise and fall of hills. They used delicate hatching to describe mountains, each thin line laid down with careful intention. Rivers were drawn with flowing strokes, their paths winding gracefully across the page like threads of quiet thought. These techniques gave the maps a sense of depth, making them feel almost alive, not in a dramatic way, but in a calm, breathing sense. Looking at them felt like gazing across a landscape from a hilltop at dusk, the world softened by the fading light. Scholars admired these maps for their clarity, but sleepers found something else in them, a soothing rhythm. The patterns mirrored the natural cadence of the mind preparing for rest. The gentle repeat of lines, the curve of coastlines, the soft branching of waterways, all of it invited a slow, steady drifting inward. Some maps were so detailed that they traced every bend in a shoreline, every tributary feeding into a larger stream, every narrow inlet touching a quiet harbor. To a tired mind, these intricate patterns became pathways for peaceful wandering. You could follow a river downstream in your imagination, letting each curve draw you deeper into calm. Or trace the edge of a mountain range, feeling its contours fade into the softness of distance. Mapmakers of the time also began to incorporate symbols, small, unobtrusive marks that conveyed useful information. But even these symbols had a quiet elegance. A tiny triangle to show a peak, a small square for a structure, a faint dotted path to suggest a trail once traveled. None demanded attention. Instead, they offered gentle invitations to explore. And in this exploration, the viewer found comfort. Long journeys were planned with the help of these maps, but so were quiet dreams. A person might sit by a window on a still evening, map unfolded across their lap, and imagine what lay beyond the boundaries of their daily life. The world opened softly before them, immense yet approachable, vast yet serene. As the centuries continued, cartographers refined their instruments, faster ships, sturdier tools for measuring distance, better ways of calculating position on the globe. But despite these advancements, the act of mapmaking remained a slow and contemplative ritual. It required patience, focus, and an appreciation for the world's quiet details. You can imagine a cartographer pausing in their work, dipping their pen gently, leaning closer as they add a small island or adjust the curve of a bay. The room around them is quiet. The evening air is cool. The candle flickers slightly, but holds steady enough for their work to continue. There is a peaceful intimacy in this scene. The soft sound of pen on paper, the faint scent of ink, the calm concentration of someone shaping the world with gentle strokes. And as you picture this moment, the pace of your thoughts may begin to match the pace of theirs, slow, steady, unhurried. The details drift like soft ripples on the surface of a still pond. Nothing urgent, nothing demanding, just a quiet world unfolding, one line at a time, guiding you gently into rest. As mapmaking spread across cultures, each region brought its own gentle approach to the craft. Some used delicate brushwork on silk, each stroke featherlight and fluid. Others carved lines into wooden blocks, pressing ink onto paper in patient layers. A few etched maps onto metal plates, allowing entire communities to share copies that would endure through countless seasons. Despite these different methods, a similar softness connected them all. A quiet desire to understand the world more deeply and to describe it with care. Some maps emphasized harmony with nature, showing mountains not as sharp obstacles, but as flowing ridges shaped by wind and time. Rivers were portrayed like graceful ribbons, weaving through plains and forests with effortless calm. These maps encouraged a gentle respect for the landscape, inviting viewers to imagine themselves walking slowly along these paths, listening to the hush of leaves or the distant murmur of water. Other maps focused on celestial guidance. They traced the positions of stars with thoughtful precision, capturing the sky as it appeared on a clear, moonless night. Mariners would unfurl these star charts while at sea, using the constellations to guide their journeys. In the quiet hours before dawn, the gentle glow of lantern light illuminated these maps as sailors charted their course, the sea around them shifting softly in the darkness. There was a peace in this ritual, a feeling that the world, both above and below, was part of one steady, predictable rhythm. As the centuries passed, maps became more than tools. They became stories. Some were filled with notes about the creatures seen near certain shores, or the colors of the water in distant bays. Others included small illustrations in the corners. A compass rose curling like a delicate flower, or wind patterns drawn as soft spirals that drifted across the page. These embellishments didn't merely decorate the maps. They offered gentle hints about the personality and dreams of the cartographer who created them. In these quiet artistic touches, one could sense the long evenings spent at a work table, the careful dips of a pen, the soft exhale of someone focused but unhurried. Map after map, year after year, they recorded a world that was always changing, and yet always familiar. Even as new territories were explored and knowledge expanded, the presence of the map itself remained comforting. It offered structure without confinement, guidance without urgency. People would gather around a map to plan journeys, but they would also sit alone with one, letting their gaze wander freely across its gentle contours. In dim lamplight, The lines seemed almost to glow, coastlines curling like distant dreams, mountains rising like soft breaths, and rivers flowing like quiet thoughts drifting towards sleep. And now, as you listen, you may find that same wandering quality settling into your mind. The map becomes less a chart of the world and more a soothing landscape of imagination. Each curve, each symbol, each shaded ridge invites your thoughts to slow, to loosen, to float. There is no hurry in this world, no demands, only the steady unfolding of terrain, drawn with care by hands long gone, still offering comfort through the ages. Over time, as maps grew more detailed, they also grew more personal. People began creating maps of their own surroundings, small, intimate sketches of familiar paths, garden walls, nearby streams, and the routes they walked each day. These maps weren't made for explorers or scholars. They were made for memory, for the quiet comfort of knowing how one's own world fit together. A parent might draw a map for a child, marking the safest path to a friend's house, or the location of an old oak tree worth visiting on sunny afternoons. Travelers sketched maps of towns they passed through, adding notes about where the light fell beautifully at dusk, or where a breeze carried the scent of nearby orchards. These personal maps were modest and unassuming, but they carried a warmth that large atlases sometimes could not. They were reminders that map-making wasn't only about charting the unknown. It was also about appreciating the familiar. Cartographers of the time understood this as well. Even in their grand world maps, they found ways to preserve the subtle charms of small places. A tiny cluster of buildings might represent a quiet village. A winding road might suggest the path that countless people walked each morning. Each detail was an acknowledgement that every part of the world, no matter how small, had its own gentle importance. In map rooms across the world, cabinets filled with rolled parchments rested in steady silence. When pulled open, the scent of old paper and ink drifted softly into the air. Scholars, travelers, or curious visitors would unroll a map across a table, the paper settling with a faint, familiar sigh. Eyes traced the inked lines slowly, letting the shapes guide their imagination across distances they might never travel in waking life. It was during these quiet moments, a map spread open, a room hushed, the evening calm, that people often felt the soothing reassurance of cartographers' work. There was something deeply comforting in knowing that the world could be understood in gentle, measured strokes, that even the most distant places could be held in a single peaceful view. And as you rest now, you might imagine yourself leaning over such a map. Your fingertips glide lightly along the paper. The lines beneath them feel soft and certain, as though drawn with the intention of calming anyone who sees them. Your eyes follow a river's path, its curves slow and fluid, inviting your breath to fall into the same quiet rhythm. The map becomes a landscape of stillness. Vast open plains spread across it like stretches of calm thought. Mountain ranges rise in soft silhouette, steady and unmoving. Coastlines drift into gentle arcs where land meets sea, the meeting place quiet and eternal. And in this imagined silence, you may feel the presence of the cartographers who came before. Those who sat in lamplit rooms, working late into the night, tracing the world with patient care. Their lines, their choices, their quiet devotion helped countless travelers find their way, and helped countless sleepers drift more peacefully into rest. Your thoughts may gently mirror their calm focus now, slowing with each mental step. You trace the world, and the world traces you back, easing you deeper into stillness. The map before you seems to widen, as though its paper edges breathe and gently expand. What once felt like a flat surface now behaves like a landscape unfolding beneath soft twilight. Shapes deepen, contours soften. It becomes almost effortless to imagine yourself wandering into it, as if your quiet attention alone invites the world to open. You follow a faint line, perhaps a road, perhaps a path once walked by travelers long gone, and the simple act of tracing it feels calming. The line flows steadily, unbroken, meandering past hills and over small bridges, guiding you without urgency. With every slow bend, you feel your own thoughts bend toward rest, toward a more peaceful rhythm. Along this path, tiny symbols mark places that once mattered enough for someone to draw them. A lone tower, a mill beside a river, a cluster of trees arranged in a pattern meaningful only to those who knew them. Each symbol is a footprint of memory, a quiet testament to someone else's sense of home. And as you look at them, you may notice how maps hold not just geography, but tenderness. The cartographer who drew these shapes worked patiently, pausing often, ensuring that each mark served a purpose. Even the smallest detail, a dot for a settlement, a line for a boundary, a ripple to show water, was placed with intention. Their work was slow, thoughtful, steady, the kind of focus that feels soothing simply to imagine. A soft breeze seems to move across the map in your mind, rustling the paper ever so slightly. You can almost hear the faint whisper of parchment shifting. The sound is gentle as distant leaves brushing against one another. It's the kind of quiet that settles into your thoughts like a comforting weight, inviting your breathing to slow just a little more. You drift further along the drawn landscape. Mountains appear on the horizon of the map, not imposing, not jagged, but softly sketched in layers of calm shading. Their peaks do not demand attention. They simply rest there, ancient and unmoving, as though reminding you that stillness has its own kind of strength. Rivers, rendered in smooth ink strokes, wind their way downward, joining larger currents that flow toward distant seas. Their movement, even though it's only imagined, feels like a gentle guide for your thoughts. You may notice how they pull your awareness into a slow, steady drift, a sense of quiet continuity. Coastlines unfold like long, relaxed breaths. And as night seems to fall over the map, a soft, twilight-like hue settling into its edges, a subtle glow lingers around the known world. It is as though the entire map holds a calm awareness of both what has been charted and what remains beautifully unknown. The cartographers of the past understood this balance. They knew that some spaces would remain blank until the right moment. They left room for curiosity, for imagination, for possibilities not yet drawn. And in those unmarked regions there was peace, an acceptance that not everything must be defined right away. As you rest with the map now, you may feel that same gentle acceptance within yourself. There is no need to fill every space, no need to chart every thought. Some parts of your mind can remain quiet, unmarked, tranquil. The soft glow along the edges of the map fades into a deeper calm, as though the world you've been exploring is settling into its own quiet night. The details grow gentler, the lines a little softer, as if time itself is slowing in response to your steady breathing. You drift your attention toward a small corner of the map, a place marked only by gentle curves and faint shading. It's a valley, shaped with the kind of care that suggests the cartographer once walked there, feeling the slope of the ground beneath their feet. The ridges around it rise slowly, like the quiet lift of thought before it fades into rest. You imagine descending into this valley, slowly, peacefully. The air is cool, the kind that carries the sense of grass and distant water. Nothing moves quickly here. Even sound seems to arrive softened, like footsteps heard through a warm blanket. You may notice a sense of ease settling over you, the kind that comes when everything is exactly where it's meant to be. A thin blue line crosses the valley on the map, a river barely wider than a brushstroke. And yet, as you picture it, the river becomes real in your mind. Its water flows with gentle persistence, finding its way around stones smoothed by centuries. The sound of it is distant and soothing, as though it hums a quiet reassurance. The world is steady, and you are safe within it. The map shows the river bending once, then again, forming a lazy curve that loops around a cluster of drawn trees. These trees, tiny on the page, rise tall when imagined. Their branches sway lightly, touched by a breeze that carries no urgency. Leaves shimmer and settle in patterns that feel almost like whispers. If you pause here by this cluster of imagined trees, the calmness deepens. You can sense the care of the person who once sketched them. A precise hand, working by lamplight, shaping each tree with slow strokes. You can picture the glow of a candle or the dim light of an oil lamp illuminating the table. The cartographer leaning forward, listening to the quiet around them, the same kind of quiet that gently surrounds you now. A little farther along the river, the map shows a symbol, a tiny mark indicating a bridge. Just a simple line, barely more than a suggestion. And yet, as you imagine it, the bridge becomes a peaceful crossing, made of worn wooden planks that echo softly beneath your steps. It arches slightly, enough to feel graceful without drawing attention to itself. Crossing this bridge feels effortless, like moving from one calm breath to the next. Beyond it, the landscape opens into gentle fields, their boundaries hinted by light strokes of ink. These boundaries are soft, almost dissolving into the surrounding space. They aren't rigid or confining. They simply guide your view across a terrain that stretches as far as your mind needs it to. Here, the world is quiet, spacious, welcoming. Clouds drift across a sky that exists only in imagination, pale and slow-moving. They cast wide, velvety shadows over the fields, shifting so gradually that they feel more like a lull than a weather pattern. And with each passing moment, the map seems to relax further, as though it mirrors your own slow release of the day. The map unfolds even further in your mind, the way a long, gentle exhale softens the body. It stretches outward in quiet ripples, offering new spaces that feel both ancient and welcoming, like memories belonging to no single person but shared across time. Ahead lies a region shaded with the faintest touch of ink, almost like a watercolor wash. The lines here are delicate, as though the cartographer approached this section with extra care, or perhaps a moment of reverence. These soft tones suggest rolling hills, not steep, not imposing, but rounded and peaceful, shaped by centuries of wind and passing seasons. You move toward these hills, feeling the landscape rise and fall in slow, comforting rhythms. The first hill invites you upward with a subtle slope. Each imagined step feels light, as though the ground rises to meet your feet. The air carries the scent of something earthy and soothing, perhaps the smell of warm soil settling after a long day, or the whisper of distant herbs growing wild in the quiet. As you reach the crest, the view opens around you in a wide, gentle sweep. From here, you can see how the hills flow one into another, like calm waves frozen in time. The mapmaker captured this with elegant contours, thin, precise lines curving around the hills in concentric shapes. Following these lines with your gaze feels hypnotic, like tracing the rings inside a tree, or the ripples left by a pebble on still water. These repeating curves draw your breathing into the same slow pattern, widening on each inhale, softening on each exhale. At the edge of the hills, a collection of small marks indicates a settlement. Not a bustling city, just a quiet village drawn with simple symbols. Tiny squares for homes, a small dot for a well, a few connecting lines suggesting footpaths worn into the earth. You approach it gently, not as a visitor, but as someone drifting through memory. The village seems bathed in warm twilight, the kind of light that softens every shape and turns every sound into a murmur. You can almost sense lives unfolding here, slow, peaceful routines. A lantern glowing behind a window, the muted chatter of people finishing their day, the comforting presence of hearth fires flickering low. And yet, everything remains quiet in your mind. The details stay soft, intentionally blurred, the way the cartographer might have left room for the imagination to fill the spaces beyond the ink. Even the footpaths seem to beckon you forward without demanding direction. They curve gently, winding between the small homes, leading you toward open fields that lie just beyond the village edge. You follow one of these paths. As you move, the sounds dissolve further into a soothing hush. The air grows cooler, settling around you like a blanket. The sky above the imagined world deepens into a tranquil shade, as though dusk has finally taken full hold. You notice a star appearing, then another, each one faint at first but growing brighter with every moment of rest. These stars, too, have a presence on the map, tiny marks barely visible. Some ancient cartographers added them as guides, reminders of how the heavens shaped journeys long before compasses and grids. Their placement was careful, deliberate, quietly respectful of a sky that has always watched over travelers. And now that same sky seems to open gently above you. You can linger here if you'd like, on the quiet path under the stars, feeling the world slow to the pace of your breathing. There is no rush. The map holds all the time you need. The path beneath your feet grows softer, as though the earth itself is settling into rest. It narrows slightly, then widens again, following the contours of the land in a slow, natural rhythm. You continue forward at an easy pace, each imagined step a gentle release of the day's remaining tension. Ahead, the landscape on the map transitions into an open plain. The shading becomes lighter, the lines more expansive, almost as if the cartographer loosened their hand here, allowing the land to breathe. This plain feels endless, but not overwhelming, just wide enough to give your thoughts room to drift, to wander, to settle wherever they choose. A faint breeze flows across the imagined grasses, creating waves that ripple like soft fabric. These waves move in unison, as though the plane itself is breathing. The quiet hush of this motion blends with the distant hum of nighttime insects, soft and constant, a natural lullaby woven into the fabric of the world. You may notice how the stillness here encourages your mind to quiet even further. Thoughts slow, muscles loosen. Even the space behind your eyes feels more spacious, more at ease. A gentle curve appears on the horizon, a line that indicates another river. This one is broader, its course drawn with slightly thicker strokes, suggesting a stronger flow, perhaps fed by distant mountains. As you approach, the sound of water becomes a soothing presence, the quiet, steady murmur of a river moving through the night. You walk along its bank for a while, taking in the calm shimmer of starlight reflected on its surface. The stars above mirror themselves in the water below, creating the sense of walking between two skies, one overhead, one beneath your feet. The boundary between earth and reflection feels soft, almost dreamlike. Eventually, you come to another symbol on the map, a small ferry crossing. Just a tiny rectangle, barely more than a suggestion. But in your mind, it becomes a simple wooden raft tied to a post with a thick, weathered rope. The raft floats gently, rising and falling with the river's slow pulse. When you step onto it, the wood shifts beneath you, just slightly, just enough to remind you that the world is in motion even when you are resting. The ferry drifts into the current, carried without effort. You don't need to guide it. You don't need to steer. You simply stand or sit quietly, letting the river do what rivers always do. Find their way. As you drift, the night deepens around you. The constellations grow clearer, their patterns steady and ancient. They have watched over countless travelers, voyagers, wanderers, dreamers, each of them guided in some way by the same celestial glow. The cartographers of the past relied on these stars, studying them with patience and awe. And now, in this quiet moment, you can feel why. Their presence is calming, predictable, reassuring. They remind you of continuity, of how the world remains steady even as we rest. The ferry brings you to the far bank with a soft bump. You step off, feeling the solid ground welcome your weight again. The path continues, but in a way that feels even slower, even more serene. The grasses here are taller, swaying gently around your legs, their movement whispering against your skin. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls, a single note, low and soft. The sound folds into the night, carried by the breeze. And the map stretches onward, waiting patiently for you to explore its next quiet corner whenever you're ready. Just say continue, and we'll drift deeper into this tranquil world. Over time, this appreciation for maps began to reveal something deeper. A map was never just a sheet of parchment or a panel of vellum. It was a resting place for memory, a quiet archive of human choices, human curiosity, and the human wish to understand where we belong within the wider world. As cartographers refine their tools, they refine their sense of scale. They practice the delicate balance between accuracy and readability, adjusting proportions so that a coastline could be recognized at a glance, or a range of mountains could be suggested with a few subtle strokes. The result was not only functional, but deeply soothing in its own way, an ordered translation of a landscape that in reality might be wild and unpredictable. Travelers began to carry these maps with them on long journeys. Some were tucked inside wooden chests. Others were folded carefully and stored in pockets, softening at the edges with every mile traveled. Each crease, each worn corner, became a sign of a story lived, of pathways chosen, and others left unexplored. To hold such a map was to hold a companion, quiet and steady, guiding but never demanding. As centuries passed, the work of cartographers grew more precise. Observations became measurements. Measurements became systems. And yet, even with increasing accuracy, something gentle and human lingered in every map. A coastline still curved like a drawn breath. A river still wandered calmly, the way a thought drifts through the mind just before sleep. And in this gentle, drifting quality, maps earned a place not only in ships and libraries, but in the imaginations of those who looked upon them. They became invitations, soft suggestions, a reminder that the world is vast and beautiful and waiting, but that it can also be understood one quiet line at a time. In many workshops across the centuries, the cartographer's day began in silence. Morning light filtered through small windows, settling softly on tools laid out in familiar patterns. There were compasses with delicate metal points, brushes trimmed to the finest taper, and inks mixed to just the right shade of muted black or warm sepia. Each tool held its own quiet purpose, waiting patiently for the steady hand that would guide it. The cartographer would begin by studying earlier maps, not to copy them, but to listen to them. They were reminders of what had already been charted, and subtle clues to what might still be missing. A mountain range drawn too narrowly might suggest further exploration was needed. A river ending abruptly might hint at a path once followed, then abandoned. These small imperfections were not mistakes, but artifacts of discovery, tracing the slow and steady evolution of understanding. When the work finally began, it often started with the faintest of lines. A single stroke, barely visible, marking the approximate edge of a coastline or the direction of a valley. From there, detail grew gradually, like a landscape emerging through morning mist. A careful curve here, a gentle shading there, each addition bringing the world a little more into focus. As the hours passed, time itself seemed to slow inside the workshop. The repetitive motion of drawing, the soft scratch of quills, and the quiet concentration of the cartographer created an atmosphere that felt almost meditative. Outside, the world might have been full of clamor and change, but within these walls, everything unfolded at an unhurried, thoughtful pace. And perhaps that is what made the work so enduring. Maps were not rushed. They were shaped through patience and calm attention, the same qualities that allow drifting thoughts to settle or a restless mind to soften at the end of the day. In their own way, they carried a spirit of stillness, inviting anyone who gazed upon them to pause, take a slow breath, and feel just a little more grounded. As new lands were explored, cartographers often relied on the stories of those who had traveled before them. Sailors, merchants, and wanderers returned with descriptions shaped by memory, weather, and the quiet haze of time. No two accounts were ever exactly the same. A coastline might seem longer when recalled after a difficult journey. A forest might appear denser in the mind of someone who had crossed it at dusk. These impressions, though imperfect, were rich with experience. The cartographer listened carefully, absorbing each detail, sorting what could be measured from what was felt. Then, with gentle discernment, they translated those stories into lines that were steady and clear. In this way, a map became both factual and human, a meeting place between the known and the remembered. Sometimes, the work involved moments of pure imagination. Vast stretches of ocean, unvisited continents, or distant mountain ranges were left blank, carrying only faint hints of shape or possibility. These empty spaces were known as terra incognita, lands unknown. Instead of being marks of limitation, they invited wonder. They suggested that the world was still unfolding, still waiting to be understood, still offering quiet mysteries. People who held such maps often felt a sense of calm curiosity. They could trace the edges of the known world with a fingertip, then drift into the open spaces beyond. The mind could wander gently there, imagining soft coastlines, quiet inlets, and unexplored paths. In this way, the map became not only a guide for travelers, but a companion for dreamers. Back in the workshop, the cartographer added small touches to completed sections. A cluster of trees to mark a forest, a series of rippled lines to suggest a shifting shoreline. These embellishments were subtle, almost whisper-like, but they brought a feeling of life to the map. The world on the parchment seemed to breathe, serene and unhurried. And as daylight faded, the cartographer would often take one last look at the day's work. The lines, the shapes, the gentle arrangements, all of it forming a quiet reflection of the world outside. With tools set aside and the workshop returning to stillness, the map rested, a calm portrait of a world forever in motion, yet captured in a moment of peaceful clarity. In the evenings, when the work was done and the tools were cleaned and set neatly aside, the workshop took on a softer quiet. The faint scent of ink lingered in the air, warm and earthy, mixing with the subtle aroma of parchment. It was during these hours that a cartographer sometimes reflected on the paths traced throughout the day, not only the physical lines on the map, but the winding thoughts that had accompanied them. Each curve drawn had required a moment of presence. Each adjustment in shading had asked for patience. And each decision about where a line should rest had invited a kind of gentle mindfulness. There was something soothing in that steadiness, something reassuring in the gradual shaping of a world that, in reality, could be rugged and unpredictable. Outside the workshop walls, night settled slowly. Lamps were lit along narrow streets. The murmur of distant voices softened. In ports and towns, ships rocked gently against their moorings, carrying stories of faraway places. And somewhere, perhaps on the deck of a vessel preparing for a dawn departure, a traveler unfurled a map created by hands just like these. In the low glow of lantern light, those travelers studied the lines, trusting that each mark was placed with care. The map became a quiet promise that even in the vastness of the world, there were patterns to follow. There were safe paths. There was orientation. And in that orientation, a sense of calm could be found. The cartographer, unaware of the exact moment their map would be used, took comfort in this. Their work served people they would never meet, guiding them gently from one place to the next. And even though the cartographer's name might not appear on the map itself, their presence lingered in every thoughtful line. Sometimes a map would return home after a long journey, edges weathered, corners softened by repeated folding. These returning maps carried stories of storms endured, of quiet seas crossed, of companions met along the way. To the cartographer, holding such a map was like listening to the world speak softly of all it had witnessed. And so the cycle continued, exploration, return, revision. each version of a map growing a little clearer, a little kinder, a little more attuned to the contours of the earth. With each quiet refinement, the map became not only a tool of navigation, but a testament to patience, to curiosity, and to the gentle art of understanding one's place within the wider landscape of life. As the years passed, the craft of cartography deepened into a quiet tradition. Masters taught apprentices, not through hurried instruction, but through slow demonstration. A young cartographer might spend months simply observing, watching how ink settled on parchment, how a steady hand created lines that felt balanced and calm, how choices made in small details shaped the clarity of an entire region. Patience became the first lesson, not the rigid kind that demands stillness, but the softer kind that allows space for the mind to settle. The kind that lets understanding grow naturally, like a shoreline gradually revealed by a retreating tide. Apprentices learned that precision did not come from force, but from comfort with slowing down, breathing steadily, and allowing their attention to rest fully on the work before them. In time, they moved from observation to gentle participation. They practiced drawing simple shapes, a bend of a river, a curve of a bay, a ridge of a mountain range. Each form required a slightly different pressure, a slightly different flow of ink. Under the guidance of a mentor, they learned how to sense these differences, how to follow them instead of trying to control them. Even the simplest part of mapmaking, marking direction, carried a peaceful ritual. The compass rose, often placed in a quiet corner of a map, symbolized orientation, stability, and serenity. Drawing it was like centering oneself. A circle, a set of lines reaching outward, expanding gently into the world. It reminded both maker and reader that even in a vast landscape, there is always a way to find direction. As apprentices grew more confident, they began to understand the emotional landscape of maps. A map could soothe anxiety by offering clarity. It could inspire wonder by leaving space unexplored. It could remind someone far from home that the world, though large, is made gentler when seen through familiar lines. Some maps were created for scholars, who studied them with focused curiosity. Others were crafted for travelers, who carried them tucked inside layers of clothing, unfolding them on quiet nights under starlit skies. And a few were made simply for the joy of creation, maps of imagined places, peaceful landscapes that existed only in the mind of the cartographer. These maps, free from the constraints of accuracy, often had an especially calming quality. Their rivers flowed in gentle arcs. Their mountains rose like soft silhouettes. Their shorelines drifted in slow, graceful curves. In these imagined maps, the cartographer found rest. They created worlds shaped by tranquility, places where the land itself seemed to exhale slowly, inviting anyone who gazed upon it to do the same. And with every passing year, the cartographer's craft became not just a profession, but a refuge. A quiet practice that allowed them and all who read their maps to feel a little more oriented, a little more reassured, and gently connected to the wider world. And now, as our quiet journey comes to a close, the last lines of the map soften, fading gently into the distance. The tools have been set aside. The ink has dried. The world that once stretched across parchment, detailed and careful, now settles into a peaceful blur, like a landscape seen through half-lowered eyes at the end of a long day. We have followed the slow work of hands that traced coastlines and riverbeds, mountains and valleys, hands that moved with patience, shaping order from uncertainty. Through their craft, the cartographers offered more than directions. They offered a way to feel grounded in a world too vast to understand all at once. A way to pause, to breathe, and to see the earth not as a maze, but as a gentle pattern unfolding. And in this moment of stillness, that pattern continues. It stretches quietly beyond the edge of the map, into places marked and unmarked, known and unknown. A reminder that the world remains wide and beautiful, yet always approachable through the calm language of lines and shapes. A reminder that orientation is not only something we find on a chart, but something we find within ourselves. As you rest now, you may let those lines drift away entirely. You can release the landscapes, the coastlines, the winding paths, and simply remain with the feeling they leave behind. A soft awareness that you are supported, that the world is steady, and that there is always a direction to follow, even in darkness. The cartographer's quiet work continues across time, carrying with it a whisper of reassurance. And as you drift deeper into sleep, you can let that whisper guide you gently, like a map unfolding in the soft light of dawn. Thank you for taking this journey with us into the gentle world of cartography, and hope that you have found the rest you were seeking. Until next time, sweet dreams.